So he says, I'm going to continue working out with you, right? But I'm going to step it up. I'm going to step it up a notch. And I keep telling him, don't do this, right? We've got a good thing going here. Don't screw it up. But what does he do? Of course, he screws it up. Get to this. Okay, this is when we're good. This is right before we go off the reservation, right? We got good progress going on. I mean, if you just look at him, we've got excellent progress going on, but it's not fast enough for him. This cannot be done fast. This has to be done slow. He didn't gain all this weight that he gained, and I was telling him this too. 11 years, that's a lot of time to gain, okay? And it's not going to take you 11 years to get it off, but you're going to have to give me some time, okay? Give me 4 months. Give me 4 months to get you back down, but still, it's not good enough. So he's looking good right here. So in 5 weeks, okay, he dropped 3 pounds of fat, pretty good. He dropped 3 pounds of fat. He gained 5 pounds of muscle, but look at this. He's wigging out. He's like, I want to lose weight. I'm freaking gaining weight. I've talked to him, Chris, this is muscle. It's muscle mass, right? It's a totally different thing. Now you've got a bigger metabolic engine. Now these workouts that we're doing, these high intensity workouts, now all of this time that you're spending away from me, you're churning, okay? You're burning calories even when we're not working out with this bigger metabolic engine. He doesn't want to hear that. He wants the weight to go down. So from week 6 to week 12, the wheels come off. So now I see him, he comes in to work out. He's lethargic. He's starting to have rings under his eyes. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm doing some distance work on the days that I'm off. I'm like, dude, no. Look, if you're going to do something, let's do some interval sprints, right? But he's not thinking that way. He can't get around it. Also, his diet is now messed up, right? Because if he wants to lose weight, what's the first thing we're going to do? We're going to cut calories. The first thing he does is he starts dropping fat out of his diet. Now he is not only doing high intensity work, he's doing long cardio. Now he doesn't have the nutritional support to support any of this, and he starts auguring into the ground. He's coming in with rings under his eyes, he's lethargic, all of these things. But hey, the weight on the scale is going down. Yeah, it's going down. It's going way down. He dropped 9 pounds of scale weight in the following 6 weeks. But if we look at this, only 2.2 pounds of it was fat. So now after the following 6 weeks, he has less muscle mass than when he came to see me originally. Now the wheels have come off. His metabolic engine is smaller. He feels like crap. He's got less muscle mass. Now he set himself up. If he would have continued this course, he would have set himself up for the same Oprah thing, the same thing that happens to everybody that does this kind of a diet. And that's just saying, again, we lost all that hard-earned muscle. And essentially, what Skylar talked about earlier, he gave his body the signal, I don't need this muscle mass. For Christ's sake, you got me doing all this endurance work. That's the last thing I need is to carry around this load. I've got to get rid of this. It's doing me no good. So fitness or health, I'm going to bring this back in to talk specifically about you guys. You really have to figure out what your goal is. You can kind of ride that gray area between fitness and health. You can push your fitness to a certain point, because I do that. You just have to be good at manipulating the variables and taking checks every now and again of how your internal health is. But really, you have to choose. Do I want to be healthy, or do I want to perform? Because once you make that choice, that's going to determine everything else. It's going to determine what your workout's going to be, and it's especially going to determine how much time you invest. Last year I talked about the 4 T's. This year I've expanded it 1 to 5 T's, because if we go down here, and I'll get down to this in just a little bit, the technique and talent portion I've kind of split up. But essentially, we need to find out what your goals are. And to help you figure out what your goals are, maybe you don't know. Maybe you're like, well, I'd kind of like to be a high-performance athlete, but I've only got 2 hours a week to devote to it. Well, it's not going to happen. Okay, it's just not. I can make you healthy easy in 2 hours, so maybe we need to readjust your goals. Maybe we have a conversation. I talk, you know what? Right now at this point in your life, you don't have time to devote to being a performance type athlete, we need to bring you back down. We'll talk about, I can make you healthy as a horse in 2 hours, and maybe that's good enough for you at this time. You also have to figure out what's my temperament or my tenacity, because there's one thing about it. It doesn't matter what protocol you follow. It doesn't matter whether you want to follow more of a bodybuilding template, whether you want to be a high-intensity training guy or whatever that is, but there's one thing about it. You have to bring a certain temperament or tenacity to it. So that's something else you need to determine. You also need to figure out what tools do I have available to me. At Efficient Exercise, like I say, I've got everything from ARX stuff all the way down to body weight stuff. Not everybody has access to that. So this is another determination you need to make too. What do I have available? Technique and tools. I equate this to being a chef. Michelle, my wife, is a chef, and being a trainer or someone who trains themselves is very much like being a chef. And the fact that you can look at a cookbook, you can follow a recipe step by step by step by step, that template, and you will have a meal that's all right. You know, it tastes pretty good. But it has no pop, it's got no kick. If you want pop and kick, you've got to go outside of that template and be a chef. Create your own meal. So you have to find out, number one, what, do you even want to do that? Do you want to devote that kind of time to become a chef? Not many people do, right? Because it gets into Geekville after a while. Ask Michelle what it's like when Skylar and I get together. It's ugly. It's Geekville. I also talk about base camp. Skylar talked a little bit about fast twitch and slow twitch too. This is going to determine your training style. So let's say we have a kid or a trainee who's fast twitch, and I'll just use myself as an example. I am primarily a fast twitch guy. My training methods look like I train like I'm a fast twitch guy. I stay in the power zone, and I'll get to this in just a second. I stay in the power zone most of the time, but that doesn't mean that is my only training protocol. I have to train outside of that to get better at being a fast twitch athlete. But the majority of my time is spent in this area. I have many clients who are endurance athletes. Obviously, those are slow twitch dominant people. The majority of their time of their weight training time needs to be centered around me addressing that portion of their training, because that's where they're going to excel. I can make them a little bit better by jumping outside of that band and having them train more power-oriented stuff or strength-oriented stuff. But for them to stay in the game long and for them to be better at what they are already wired, best suited for, I need to stay in these zones. And people, well, how do I know whether I'm a fast twitch guy or a slow twitch guy? Well, I guess you could spend $500 and get some genetic testing. You might have an idea. They do offer that. But the best thing is